Hi guys, and welcome to Braid School. If you're new here, I'm Vandy, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, fam. I hope everyone is doing well and keeping safe out there. I am coming to you guys today from my makeshift office, if you will. My whole family is still working from home, so this is really the quietest place I have in my house right now. If you are new to Braid School, every Monday we come together to discuss braid techniques, tools, products, and basically all things protective style related. This is an environment for learning and growth, and also for those of you who want to become more educated on protective styles. So if those things sound like something that might interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so you don't miss any of our uploads. Tonight's video is going to be a first for me. This is the first time that I've asked you guys to submit specific questions that you want answered. You know, those burning questions that you can't seem to grasp or may not have caught on to in some of the videos. So I wanted to go into detail for some of you guys who really need these questions answered. This is actually going to be part 1 of a 2-part series, so make sure you stay tuned for part 2 next week. So without further ado, let's get into the video. First question comes from Breed Plus Mommy. She wants to know, how do you build stamina to braid hair for long hours? Do your hands ever hurt after doing a particular style? And how do you cope with it? So oddly enough, this is a question that I get so many times, especially from clients as they're trying to build rapport during an appointment. The main question is, do my hands ever get tired? And the answer to that is actually no. I know it sounds really weird, but for some reason my hands do not get tired. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I use my wrists more than I use my fingers. It's kind of like an all-in-one motion, as opposed to trying to get intricate tiny details and cramping up my fingers like that. With that being said, if I'm doing a very intricate cornrow design, I may have a little bit of cramping in these fingers here, but really the key is stay hydrated. I drink lots of water and lots of sparkling water. I can tell when I am not getting enough water because that's when I'll start to cramp up more. So it's almost like you have to be very in tune with your body and know what works for your body. I know that if I'm not drinking enough water, I'm not gonna last throughout the day. That's just not gonna happen. So I have to make sure that one, I'm hydrated, and one, I'm healthy and I'm eating healthy. It's also important to know your limitations. So for me, I know that I need a break every 5 to 6 hours. So with my scheduling, I make sure that I schedule a lunch break for myself every day. I also cap my hours off at a certain time so that I can be done by a certain time. Now, if I get a request for, let's say, thigh length knotless braids down to the flow, you know, something like that, then I will set aside the specified time that I know it's going to take me. So I'll probably spend all day with that client as opposed to trying to fit 2 or 3 people into that one day. My hands don't get as tired, but I do have issues with my legs and my feet. So one thing that I do is I try to make sure that I'm moving around. It's easier for me to stand to do hair than it is for me to sit down and do hair, because I notice when I sit down, I start to slow down. I make sure I have very comfortable shoes. I don't have an anti-fatigue mat because for some reason those things don't really work that great for me. I did order some, but they didn't fit in my salon space. I kind of wear shoes like this that kind of like Crocs or kind of like slides. Can't wear tennis shoes because they're too tight on my feet. But ever since I changed my shoes to that, I've had a whole lot less issues with my feet. If I do feel like I have lasted a little bit too long, or if it's getting closer to the end of the day, depending on the style, and most likely it's going to be box braids or knotless braids or something like that, I'll go ahead and do the whole base of the head first, and then I'll pull my chair up and sit for the remaining part of the session. Oh, another thing too is that I don't exercise in my off time, so I consider my day of braiding as my exercise. Okay, so this next question comes from SKBD69. And they want to know, how do you keep the braids and twists looking neat for weeks? When I do them, they look fuzzy after the second week and I'm already gripping for dear life. Okay, so I don't know if you guys remember, a couple months ago, I posted this video about 5 steps that you miss. In that video, it talks about how to seal the ends of the hair. So there are 3 things to consider when you're trying to keep it neat and sleek for a long period of time. The first thing is, what type of hair are you using? Second thing is, how are you sealing the hair in and how are you sealing those ends? And third thing is, what type of products are you using? So the type of hair matters because hair that has been treated with the alkaline lye typically has a longer, straighter shaft of hair. So you're not going to get the little tiny stray hairs that are flying away throughout the strand of the hair. So a good example of that would be the expressions hair, the Rua hair, the Freetress hair. All of those have very, very long strands that aren't interrupted. The other type of hair that people like to use is the antibacterial and non-treated hair. That is basically your easy braid Spectra hair. Freetress now has a new antibacterial line as well. But you will notice in the texture and the difference in the feel of that hair is not treated, so the cuticle doesn't lay flat, and there are a lot of flyaways. It is actually kind of closer to the feel of human hair, with that softer fiber, but because it's not treated, you're going to have a whole lot more flyaways. So it don't matter how much you tuck, it's gonna eventually start to look a little bit fuzzy over time. Here I'm showing you examples of the difference between the treated hair and the non-treated hair. Another thing to also consider is that pre-stretched hair is typically going to have more flyaways towards the ends of the braid. So that's just inevitable. You're not gonna be able to get around that. The best you can do is just trim off as much as you can before you go into dipping them. The other thing to consider is, how are you dipping the ends? Is your water hot enough? Now, of course, you can go the old school way and boil it on the stove, but you got to make sure that that water has been boiling at boiling temperature for at least a couple of minutes in order for it to retain that heat as you transfer it from the pot to the hair. I love my kettle because my kettle heats the water up to boiling temperature, and you can always tell because the kettle will actually cut off and it'll let you know, or ding, or whatever it does. That'll let you know the water has reached boiling level. The idea is the indirect heat from the water is going to mold the synthetic fibers for you. So that's why I will wait until the water has hit that boiling point, and I will take it out immediately and dip the hair immediately into it. You do not want to let that water sit for a long time, because once that temperature goes down, the less likely it's going to mold the hair. And then do not disturb the hair until it has completely dried. You want it to set in that new mold that you have created for it. If you're playing around with the hair after you're done, then you're going to cause flyaways because it's still in that hot heated mode, and it's still going to mold itself out of it. So you don't want to put your products on before you dip the hair, because if you put the products on and then you dip the hair, you're going to burn the products off. There's no point in doing that. Sealing everything in, especially with the natural hair, with a setting lotion or a setting mousse, a lot like these ones here, is going to help set the natural hair in and also set those fibers in from the synthetic hair. And you gotta make sure that you let it dry. You'll be able to tell, because once you put that solution in your hand, let it dry a little bit, you'll feel it has like a little sticky consistency. So that's what's binding your hair together to make it lay down and keep those flyaways from coming up. The last thing to consider about that is you got to understand expectations versus reality. Expectations is what Instagram shows you. All those pictures of neat, sleek braids, they look beautiful and neat and sleek, but from a distance. When you are looking up close on that picture, you're gonna see little tiny flyaways. That's normal. if you are braiding your own hair is not going to look neat and sleek like that. It's going to have flyaways. So that is normal for braids, period. You can get it as neat as you want, but if it's fuzzing up a lot, that means one, you're probably using the wrong hair, you're probably not sealing the ends properly, and you're probably not using the right product. So also, Heather Cave was asking, when you do box braids on natural hair with no extensions, how do you seal the ends of the hair to keep the natural braids together? If you're not adding extensions and you're only doing your natural hair, the only way you can seal the ends of your natural hair is typically with an elastic of some sort. You certainly don't want to burn your hair, and you certainly don't want to dip your hair in hot water. If you dip your hair in hot water, that's just going to loosen your braid up. So unfortunately, Heather, I'm sorry, there's no magical way to seal your natural hair. But if you were to add synthetic hair, tuck all of your natural hair into it, you can seal the ends of the synthetic hair. Other than that, the only other way to do it is with an elastic band, rubber band of some sort. Can you reuse extensions? And the answer to that is it depends. It depends on what you're doing. So if you are doing box braids, just regular old schmegular box braids, it is a possibility that you can reuse the hair. And I say that because if you're only using one strand of hair per braid and you remove it, if you're very careful with it, then you can easily lay that to the side, wash it if you want, and then reuse that hair again. It's totally up to you. Now, it may be a little bit more difficult if you're doing like a feed-in braid of some sort, because you've got a lot of little tiny hairs that are going to be coming out as you unravel the hair. That's a lot to keep up with, especially if you're using different lengths of hair. It also depends on how dirty your hair is. So considering the cost of synthetic hair, I really don't find the need to reuse it if you don't have to. You might as well just go get a couple new packs of hair and just install the new packs. But if you want to reuse it, you can. Now, there are a lot of instances where you cannot reuse hair. For example, if you're doing a crochet style, if you're doing the very, very small, intricate crochet with the loose hair, 9 times out of 10, you are not going to be able to use that hair, because for that, you have to actually cut the knot out of the hair. That hair is done after that. But if you're using crochet hair that is already pre-braided, for example, like the pre-braided box braids, the faux locks, any of those type of braids, Senegalese twists. When I tell you, when my daughter was wearing Senegalese twists, we constantly recycled her hair, because all you do is just slip the loop out and the hair is still intact. So you take it out, wash it, and then reinstall it, and it looks exactly the same. So I'm like, they have this technology, you're saving a ton of money. And if you're not reusing that hair, I don't know what you're doing wrong, because that hair lasts, like, sometimes her hair would last up to a year. Like, I still have bags of crochet hair that she either wore 2 or 3 times, and I just refuse to throw it away, because I'm like, we can reuse this another time. So yeah, it is definitely doable in some cases, but not all cases. You just got to consider the way the hair was installed and to the condition of the hair when you remove it. All right, so this concludes the first part of the FAQ video. I'm going to be uploading part 2 next week, which is going to involve a lot more detailed and demonstration questions. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss that upload. As always, if you found this video helpful, make sure you thumbs it up, share it with a friend, and comment below what you really think. And shout out real quick to one of our students. They left this amazing testimony for us to all be encouraged by. You guys send me so many questions and comments and testimonies all the time. I would love to feature you guys at the end of each video. So if you want to be featured in the next one, make sure you comment how much you have grown in the comments below. I want to thank you all for stopping by. We are growing by leaps and bounds. We are almost at 40,000 subscribers, so yay for us. I definitely want to make sure I express my gratitude for your love and continued support for this channel. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.